mediumship platform, or some may say stand-up. I tend to find there's 5 different ways that mediums work when doing platform. The main one, and the one where you have the spirit next to you in actual communication, is the one where you're actually hearing spirit and passing on the messages that you're getting from spirit. Sometimes you might get pictures, you might get images in your mind or your third eye, as some may say. But I think actual communication is the main one, but does take a lot of energy. And so you have to do or prepare yourself in certain ways to gain your energy levels to be able to hear them all the time. And that's why they send information through different ways. Then number 2 is voice vibration. This is where somebody is listening to the voice of the person in the audience, picking up on their vibration and their energy and tracing it and to the actually family member, and then getting information that way. So the voice vibration is another way that they work, and is only, I feel, is not as good as the actual communication. But it's information, nevertheless, that's passed through. Then the third one that we get to is give what you get, and channeling. Basically, when you're channeling or you're preparing your vessel, you'll often get a case that the information is like flowing through you, and so you're speaking as the information is told to you. Sometimes the person may merge with your energy or step into you. Another form of this is trance, but that is more that you're going under and you're allowing the person to use your voice box. But when you're channeling the information, it's like automatic writing. The information just comes through the pen onto the piece of paper, but in the sense that you're just actually talking it. If you tend to give what you get, you tend to be less likely to allow the brain in, as you're giving the information as you receive it. If it comes in symbol form, obviously, or picture form, then it might need interpreting. But after the case, the person will know what it is that you're giving the information. Then some mediums use tools like ribbons and psychometry, which is the holding of objects. Use clairvoyance in the sense of just getting images and feelings, and so using the senses as well. So this is not also a bad way, but I don't think it's like direct mediumship. But the combination of all of these together will give you information to pass on to the person. The 5th way is mind reading, body language, or reading the aura. I find this way is pretty much where mistakes can be made, because it allows more of the brain to kick in, more of the information to be added to. So you might be getting a variable of information from feeling how they went over, around the heart. Then you might get an image, then you might have them talking to you, and then all of a sudden people are picking up on the actual aura. So they're picking up actually what you've been thinking about. And 9% of thoughts are illusions, so often the case that they could just be picking up on information that will still give evidence, but it will not give them what they spiritually need or what the message is. And that's really the point of it, is it's all about the message. The reason that spirit come through is to guide the person, to help the person release that emotional block that sometimes stops them from being able to communicate, or the emotional lesson that they need to move on to help them, so that the body doesn't reject the connection to spirit and to obviously the source, which is the energy part of everything. So what I normally do when I do a stand-up is that I get the actual spirit to stand next to me. By doing this, I am then working with the energy of spirit as well as myself to give them more energy to be able to get messages. So get them to merge with your energy. Makes it easier for them. Also, another way is to put a nature box around you. Obviously, heaven's energy is the pure link of being able to communicate with spirit. And if you go to most spiritual centers, you notice that the mediums have been working in a certain area all the time. So after time, there's a build-up of energy. So by creating your own nature box, what you're doing is you're creating an easier link for the spirit world to work with the energies. And means that they're not tiring you all the time by taking your energy. When you realise that it's all about the message, you suddenly then understand that once you have the message and the person has taken the information, then you've done your job. And there's been many times when a message has come in many different ways and can be just the simplest of a message. I once had a lady who, just by telling her that a toy was in her purse, meant everything to her, because that confirmed that her 18-month who passed on was just saying hi. So don't always think that it has to be a long-winded or you have to prove all this about who they are. Just the simplest of message is all that you need in many times. And so what you need to look for is that you have passed the message on, because spirit will keep coming back and stopping other people from getting through until they've had what they need to say. So that's what I always say, give what you get and go with the message. Then obviously the way you deliver the message, you have to be very careful. You're in an environment where you've got quite a few people, everybody wanting messages, everybody emotional, everybody wanting them to be the ones that gets the information, and some of them that will not want to take the information because the body rejects the emotional pain that comes with that, or it might make them upset or look silly. So be wary that when you're passing on messages, that even by triggering the person to release emotions, that you're helping them out. And so just understand that messages come in many ways, and that just by sharing the message may be enough. They might not even have to go to the person. They may not want you to. So just find out who the person is. Go through the 5 different ways to work out who it is, who they are by name, how they went over, which side of the family they're on, a bit of a message, and we always look for a little bit of proof and a bit of extra stuff that will show that they're around them. So delivering the messages is important, but if you just focus on that you're trying to give a message, then you'll often will be able to give the right information. Sometimes when we're doing stand-up, I tend to look upon that there's some people in the audience who, like I say, their bodies are rejecting, their bodies are not wanting certain information, or some people are so focused on certain information coming through that obviously they are not going to listen to some of the information. It may be that they're not really at a point of listening or hearing from their loved ones. So be wary of this. So I tend to ask the spirit world to show me what I call the green and red light. If I'm going to a person and a red light shows, then it says to me to be careful, and maybe this person may need a little bit of opening up more to be able to get the message across, or a family member might be bringing the person through because this person is emotionally too connected to actually get a message. And so if I do get green light, I know then often that they need the message, and they're the sort of person that I can link with. But be wary that when you move from one person to another, that you must cut the ties. A lot of mediums don't do this, and then it means that they're still connected to that spirit who can still throw messages and images and information in, which then gets confusing. And so sometimes, even when a person or a spirit is trying to jump the queue, they will give you information like a name or whatever. Just say to them that, they're the next link and you'll work with them in a minute. And remember to go back to them, because all the messages should find a home. And so by doing that, you're letting the audience know that it's just you getting cross wires. I mean, sometimes you'll get information where the person is trying to jump on the back of another person because their name's been mentioned. Because there's so many times Spirit World are trying to get their message across, and if you've lined them all up and taken them one at a time, they might be frightened that they're not going to be able to speak to their loved one, and they emotionally need to. So just be wary of that. Okay. Sometimes, also, you've got to understand that the information that comes through might be added to. I've had this quite a few times, that when I'm actually speaking to a person, I'm giving them bits of information, like I might give them, I say I'm getting a grave, and I'm an auntie, and I'm seeing plastic flowers, and when they reel back the information that I've given, they've got a whole story. So sometimes remember that Spirit might even, as you're giving the information, add bits to your information so that they see the bigger picture, or so they understand. On this occasion, she told me that there's no way that her auntie would have plastic flowers on a grave, and she visits often, and this, that, and the other. Later, when she went to visit, she found that her cousin had been and put plastic flowers on. So it showed not just that they're around and that she was thanking her for putting flowers on, but letting her know that she wasn't happy with the plastic flowers and that she is there. I tend to find that when I'm giving a message, what will be, will be. I try not to attach to the message, because the minute you start to work out the message, the minute you let the brain in. You've got to understand that when you're telling a story, or you're trying to find the whole sentence of what the message is, halfway, if you're too busy focusing on the person and whether they understand it or whatever, your brain will kick in and start to add information to make it fit. This is where mediums go wrong. Just give what you get. If it comes through twice, then it's definitely that symbol that they need to know about. You know, go with your heart. When it feels right in your heart, you know it's the right time. Obviously, a little bit more when you're doing stand-up. You have to be quicker with the information. Also, you find that repeat stuff. Repeat information that is correct, or they've said yes to, because then it allows the audience to be participating in it and to see that you're getting information right, and you're not just, in some ways, some mediums just bully the person. They just give all this information out, and the person probably didn't take half the information, but they're not going to look bad in front of everybody else, and so then Spirit can get upset with that because you're not doing your job right. So I say that when you just what will be, or you surrender to the flow of the spirit world, you'll tend to find you'll get the better information, because you're not attaching to be good or bad, and so you're not stopping the flow. This is very important. Stand up is a very strange way to do it. I tend to find that when I open all the doors, they all start coming through. Then they're all bustling to get to the first one. They're giving me names, the stronger ones with the energy, trying to give me names quickly so that I can link onto them. And so I tend to work more on the message, because you can get through the messages quite quicker than you can get trying to explain that your grandma who wore size 6 shoes and this, that and the other, which is not really relevant information. You want the key information when you're doing stand-up. You want key information that people can relate to quickly. You know, what happened around them today, what in their house is being touched, what they have on the fireplace, objects that's been, the way they went over, information that they might know about, and they're not always going to know, and they're not always going to want certain members through. So just be careful of that. That if there is a bridge to be mended, then you might be the middle person, or an emotional thing to let go of, so that they can be clearer and get the message through. Sometimes Spirit will come through and won't want to talk to the medium, but they just want to recognise that they're there. So when you do stand up, just be wary of the different ways of messages. Mediumship problems. Right. Well, just to follow on from the information that we've just been given there about different ways that we do it, there is a few things that will crop up when you're doing stand-up, especially the mixed messages. Alright, there's similar messages where Spirit World will go on the back of a message. So, for example, you might mention a name that they can relate to, so they will start giving you information in the hope that you will include their family member or jump the queue, as we say it. So if we always concentrate on names, we can actually then cause ourselves to have a double link. It might be a type of information. It could also be that sometimes you're going to find that it might be Spirit World bringing through a person because they haven't got enough energy. That's why it's always good to have the nature box and nature in the room, because then it makes it easier to communicate. When trying to split somebody, it's about communicating to the two spirits and allowing one at a time to come through. It's like if you did a reading for family members and they decided that, let's say, a brother and a sister came and wanted to come for the reading at the same time. You could be giving bits of information that both of them can take and might not know about each other. So you have to be careful with mixed messages, because it makes you look like you're not really giving the right information, or you might get a lot of no's from one and yes from the other. But you really need to make sure that you have somebody to make sure that they are lined up or have the information there with being passed on. I mean, if you use guides and stuff, then you could be getting a lot of information through, and then it makes it even harder. So mixed messages is hard, because you're also going to have your brain then try and work out the message and start to include as well that, you know, you see two pictures of two people and you could think it's brother and sister, and it could be two sisters, it could be anything. Your brain could kick in. So let the information come to you. When messages are coming to you, then you know it's from Spirit. When you're trying to work out the message, then you're actually allowing the brain to fill in the gaps. And this is the problem. Filling in the gaps is where we go wrong. You may get a picture of a tree, and then a picture of a dog, and a picture of a car, random information. Now, each one of those informations could be a message in itself, and you have to expand the first one until you get the whole picture of what they mean. When you do more speed reading, you will find that you will be given more information that is just direct and to the point, or proof or whatever, and it tends to be you not have to work it out. But sometimes there'll be that little bit of evidence that you have to work out, and that's when you see the mediums pacing up and down or giving more information. What they try and do is just give themselves more time to be able to work out exactly what the person in spirit is saying. Repeating, they also tend to repeat what information is correct. That gives them more time to work out the information that's coming through. But do be careful of filling in gaps. You know, your brain will look at a door and then it will start saying, well, are you going through it? Are you coming through it? Is someone coming through it? Are you shutting the door on somebody? You know, they start giving you all these different variations of what it could be, when it could just be that your journey is to go through that door, you know. So wait until you get the whole picture, and if it feels right in your heart, then you know that you've got the whole picture to the message. So there's going to be odd messages where you need to work on it, but hopefully most of the messages should be just directed and going through the point. Okay, difficult people in the audience. The amount of times when I toured the country, we had people that would come up to you afterwards and say, oh, you know, everything you said was brilliant, but they said no to everything. You was thinking, oh, God. And thankfully, I still gave the message. I still gave the message, and I didn't cut off, because in the end, it felt right. It kept coming twice, so I knew to give it. Now, that person could miss out on a message, and it could be their own fault, so that they just didn't want the other person next to them knowing their business or whatever. So be careful of what information you might give out, which might trigger people to not accept the information. Also, there might be bits of information you get, and so people might think that it's not theirs, and they might, what we call psychic amnesia, where, you know, the littlest things that you forget about, even like nicknames and names, and all of a sudden, oh my God, yeah, I knew that person, you know, because if a friend comes through, then you got no chance. I lived in a pub, so the amount of people that have passed on from that pub come through half the time, and can I remember half the names? No, I can't. I can't remember what street I lived on. And yet these are the sort of messages that people give, and anniversaries of when they passed over. Can I remember half of them? No. Only the real important ones, you know. And this is the thing. And that's only because we got a plaque on a tree, so that's why I remember that date. So just be wary that some people are not going to be able to understand the message, and they might need to take it away. It could be a case that they need to take it away because it shows them that spirits are around them. So don't get into this point that every single bit of the message you give, they have to be able to take. Because then what you're doing is you're causing yourself a blockage of giving the message. And you probably won't expand the message to get the right bit of information because you're worried about it being wrong. Another case that really, when you're doing stand-up, which can be a problem, is that they might not be family members. When the friends come through, or the friends of friends, or they've met on that night. I've had spirits. I had a little girl was there, and an uncle figure to this lady was bringing through this little girl who was her friend's daughter, just passed over. So the grandfather of the person there, but when I was mentioning about a little girl that's gone over, you know, she could take it, but because it wasn't direct family, she didn't expect it to come through for a friend. But it was for a message for a friend, and she was able to give it. So be wary that that's why if you're going to concentrate on that you definitely have this person and it's definitely for somebody in the crowd and you're losing sight of what it's all about, which is about the message. And also some family members, they might not know because they're just bringing through another family member because of the energy that they've been over quite a bit. So just be careful of that. And it is funny sometimes when you get the person in the crowd who turns around and doesn't want to actually hear your message. They don't actually want to accept it because they didn't like that person. Well, I'm afraid sometimes spirit will come through for a reason. Anybody around you watching you can give you information. So just understand that that might be a problem to some, but you've also, the problem you get is that sometimes the spirit is connected to the place that you're actually doing the information. So just be wary that not all informational spirits might just want to talk. I went to a pub once and did readings and always said I didn't like to do too many at pubs because there's too many energies there. I was talking for 3 minutes and then all of a sudden I turned around to the lady and went, I traced the energy of the person and realised that they weren't connected. And she said, oh, well, I just fancied a chat. That was the spirit world. So I was obviously red-faced, had to explain to the lady, I'm sorry, but this person was of the pub. She thought it was highly amused, and I was able to find out that it was actually a lady that passed from the pub. So it made her laugh. And so that's why I say it's all for a reason. You also got to be wary that some family members might not even let you move on until you've given your message. I heard that before at paranormal events and stand-up events, where this one gentleman, I was in Tiverton doing a stand-up, and he kept saying his name over and over and over again, and I just said, look, I've just got to give this out. There's a gentleman here, he's obviously part of the actual plays, he was here, and his name is such and such. Nobody recognised it, nobody took the information, but I was still able to move on then and give the rest of the information. And I thought, oh, that was the only bit of the night that I was a little bit worried that I'd, let the message didn't make its place, sort of thing. And then the person who's running the place came up to me and says, oh, I can see our old friend came through again. He's been, he used to run this place 40 years ago. Nobody in here will know him, but I know him. And every time he wants to have his little say. And I thought, well, there it is. The message has found its home. So you should have put your hand up. Then he would have said, he said, oh no, because then he would have gone on if someone recognises him. So it's all for a reason. And I remember another stand-up that I was doing, and I thought I was getting a little bit cocky. I was really doing quite well. And I got a situation with an ambulance man who had helped a couple, but they died. But they wanted to say thank you for, for helping them through that difficult period. Me personally, you don't think that occasion you would see many of those, but he came up to me afterwards and he said, yeah, I had 5 people die in that sort of like road accident sort of situation. Which one was it? And I thought, oh my God. And I could have got more information at the time, I said, but because you accepted it and accepted that this happened and didn't query it, I didn't get any more information about which one it was of the 5 that had actually come through. So, like I said to you, sometimes you have to make sure that you got the whole information to pass it on. So family can actually, and spirit can actually stop you from moving on sometimes, but it's all for a reason. Do make sure you cut the ties. Once you've worked with somebody, because then they're not going to keep throwing in different names and stuff from their family because they want to link again, or they haven't passed the message on. Now you're going to get information for the future, and I know a lot of the churches don't accept future information, which I understand why, because you can actually project into someone's head that they're going to do something, and then they focus on it, and then it happens, which is not part of their plan. But still, experience is needed. So just look out for that, and if it feels right to give, then just give the information, because sometimes you're not even going to know that it is for the future. There's a strange energy feel about it, but sometimes, they're not going to know the information because they're telling you about or preparing them for a party or something that's going to happen in the future or a passing or whatever, and so they will give you information in a certain way. And they might not be able to take it at this time, but it always seems to find its time and its place. Okay, so they're the real problems that's going to actually show up. As I say, now what I just want to go through is like step by step to give you information on how I do it and how we actually come about to work on a night time. Right, okay. So, first of all, make sure your vessel is clean. This makes it easier for the connection, makes it easier to build the energy up. So make sure that you do some of the exercises that I'm going to put next, like an energy boost, to really get the pictures clearer. Release into a box at the side all your emotions, so that you're not just getting messages for you all night. Maybe a little meditation before you do it will help you to get aligned. Right. Look also for how that you work. So do a little speech on how you're going to, how you give the information across and how you work. This will then get the people comfortable and everything. Maybe tell a story about a few occasions, a few stories that helps them to relax and understand how you work or what can happen and how it can be variable information. Tell them how long you're going to do it. Give them the messages and look to do the messages and cut the ties every time you move from one person to another, and then make sure you close down. By the end, you should have passed some good information on and been able to share. I hope this has been helpful. Remember to do the exercises that will help you to get more connected for receiving information. Messages. Right, I've included this because, say for example, you picked up this pack and you've never done mediumship in your life, or you've never done stand-up in your life. Okay, I will go through how the messages work, just in case you've never done this before. So before you do platform, some people get a link to the spirit world so that they can start off by saying that they've had such and such a person. I prefer the person to be actually standing next to me, because the amount of times I've probably tried to get a link before and they've gone missing, because once they've used their energy up, they go. So I tend to wait until I'm actually out in front of the audience and whatever, and by the time I've done my speech about how I've done it and how I do it and this, that and the other, a little bit of a story, I'm ready to go. I'm connected. Okay, so just imagine yourself, you've done the energy boost, you've done the source, and you're ready, you're connected. So then you ask for a family member from the audience to come and stand next to you. Line them up, just in case there's loads of spirit there. And then you ask into your head that they all know that you want to know who they are, the name of them, how they went over, which side of the family on, are they on mother's side or father's side. If they're friends, then can they stand a little bit further back so you know it's friends. If they're talking about somebody on the earth, that they show you a sign, whatever you have perceived as your sign, to show that they're this side and not spirit world, and that they can give a message or a bit of proof of their existence, or that they are around the person in question. So this is what all the spirit I'm speaking to should know to start off with. This gets me to build up the link with them, and this also gives me a little bit of information to give to the crowd to ascertain who it is that I'm going to. Now, once I'm linked with that person, I normally get a little bit of an area of where I want to go, or what I do is I feel the energy of the person and feel in the room where the energy is similar, which gives me a sort of basis that person, and it also means that if the person is nothing to do with anybody in the room, then you won't feel an energy drawn to that person. You can trace from their energy to the person, and that will know that that's their person, their family member, because they'll have a similar energy. And then once I've started to talk about them, I don't always get names, but most of the time we do get names. So first of all, does anybody take a such or a similar name? He's given me his condition of how he went over. He might have drowned. He might have had a heart attack. You know, you're not a doctor, but at the end of the day, you're given what you're given, the information. You might have a feeling in your heart or anything. Then you're looking for the message that he's given you, so he might give you a little bit of a proof of that he's around. There might be an object in the house to show that he knows he's been in your house. You might ascertain which side of the family they're on. You know, I've got a male feel on the father's side. Feels like a grandfather figure by the name of George. You know, once it's started to build up, it's easier then. Give me a bit of information around the person, you know, maybe a birth date or what street they lived on, or a bit of something that they will know straight away, so that you're not messing about with the information. And it might give you a symbol form. Also, they might give you, you might link into their DNA or the person's DNA, and then you could get a timeline, which is a timeline is basically all pictures to do with their life. Now, you can go up and down the timeline and everything to get the information, and ask them to show pictures of moments in their life that mean a lot to them. Be careful going back in time, because not everybody remembers their childhood. And then you're just sharing moments, magic moments that they can associate with, and get to the message. The message could be that they got an emotional attachment to do with how they went over. There's a guilt still attached, and so you help the person to let go of that. Or it might be something they didn't do or didn't say, or it could be that they just want to say that they're around and they know they're going through a bad time at the moment, and they might give them some information to support them and guide them, or what to do in this difficult time, and just to let them know that they are around and they love them dearly. You know, a big hug from Spirit is a message that they're sending love. So look for these sort of things, and once you've got the message, try not to spend too much time then before moving on, because remember, there's more than just one in the audience that wants a message. And then if their spirit know that you're actually working quite quickly, they'll know then that they're not going to jump in and push in and try and get their message across. Okay, so messages are important. It's all about the message. We're just the middle people. If Spirit didn't give me a message, then I've got no gift, because I can't even speak. I can't even share the information. So, but you also got to work with Spirit in the sense that let them know how you work. Let them know that you got family members in the place, and if they would like to step forward, and that you'll do the best you can to share the information as quickly as you can. Blackboard method. Okay. A lot of the times we're trying to gain information that obviously the person can take. And another way of doing this is imagine yourself, either you got a blackboard, or you got a wall, or you got something that you can write on. The Spirit can write on to give you information. I mean, they can send you pictures of words. I often ask them to do it in capitals because some of their writing is just shocking. But yeah, so you can get information through images, through words they write. It makes it a lot clearer sometimes to be able to know exactly what the word is, especially if you don't know that word. If they spell it out to you, then it makes it a little bit easier. So sometimes I work with a blackboard. So I imagine a blackboard by the side of me, and Spirit can go and write on. So if there's odd things they want to know, you also can put areas on the board to know if it's family, friends. You can have the person that you want in the audience, and they put the name of the person they want to speak to. It takes a lot of energy, but in time, if you build up your nature box and everything like that, and build up your energy boost, and build up yourself, they're able to utilise that to actually do such things. I mean, even to just give you initials, that's enough to get you going, of the person. A lot of people really want names for proof, because this is entertainment purposes. But as long as they know who you're talking about, then they're happy to have a message from their loved ones. So just take your time, deep breath in, deep breath out, let go of everything, and then just imagine a blackboard or a wall, or even somebody spraying paint on a wall. Any way that you feel drawn to it. It could be crayons, it could be anything that you have worked out with Spirit to do. And then you might even ask questions. Try and ask a few questions. Don't leave it to one question, because one question might allow the brain. Because when we don't know something, so you might say, can you put on the board the name, what month they were born in, how they went over. And remember, it's got to be like one worded, because it would take a lot. If they were writing a whole script, it would take a lot further information. So just relax and just imagine. You can even imagine going back to school and the blackboard's there with it, and one of the spirits or one of the family members is there writing names for you to take. But I just put a blackboard by the side, or even type it on a computer, whichever way you feel drawn to. It's just added another tool to your to-doing platform. Speed reading. You can get a photo of a family member, or you can ask somebody to sit in front of you. And basically, speed reading is about whatever information comes into your head. Once you've linked with Spirit, when you asked them to come and help you, or to give a message for the person in the picture, or the person sitting in front, and then just work on the message. You ask Spirit to say who they are, which side of the family are on, but to mainly give the message. And then once you've given the message, you move on to another family member. And so carry on. This is called speed reading. And what this does is, it gets you used to the information and means Spirit world can work a lot quicker. When we first start out, we tend to find that we actually slow ourselves down, or slow Spirit down, because they talk at a fast rate. The more you do speed reading, the more you can get the message and give whatever you get, or work out which information is best to give. and they can go through it quicker. So this is a really quick and easy way, and the more you practice this, the more you'll get used to the way they communicate and the quicker way that you can actually pass on information. When obviously we're doing a reading, it's a totally different story because we've got more time to process the information. When you're doing stand-up, you've got to be a lot quicker or the crowd will get bored. So just get a picture or ask for a person to sit there and, with a dictaphone, or just basically, you don't really need to know what information. Just ask the family members of this person if they would come through and give a message, and then just quickly move on. And the quicker you do it, don't worry about what you got or what you're getting or anything like that, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, and then it just gets you into an automatic process of doing readings, or especially for a platform. Creating a connection place. Just relax. Let go of all your fears and worries and doubts. Take a deep breath in. And as you let the breath out, imagine all your worries and fears and emotions leaving the body. You can imagine it going into a stream or a pot at the side as you let go of that which is holding you from connecting. Take a few more breaths. And just let go. Don't matter about your breathing, just do it automatically, as your body will automatically release that which you're holding on to. Then just imagine yourself at your favourite place. It could be one that you have on the earth, or it could be a place that you could create to go to. This is a place to create peace in your life, and a place that you can do your work if you want to do mediumship, or just a place to go to feel relaxed and at one with nature. So there's a few places you can choose from. Try each one using all your senses to see which one makes you feel alive or makes you feel at peace. So you can go to the sun or the beach and sit in the sun and with the waves and feel one, and feel if that's your place to connect. Use all your senses. You might hear the birds. You might feel the sand. You might hear the sea going backwards and forwards. Then why not try the woods? So imagine yourself in the woods. Big oak tree in the middle as a clearing. Feel all the energy of the woods. Smell. Hear the birds and the animals rustling around. Feel the leaves on the floor or the grass that you're sitting on. Become one and feel if this is your place that you would like to connect. Or maybe you would like to go to a field where some corn or poppies or a childhood memory. Sitting in a field and feel one with the field and the earth. Use all your senses to become part of this place as you link to the field. If that feels like your place, then this is your place to connect. Another place you could go to is a waterfall. Imagine yourself sitting by the waterfall. Feel the energy of the waterfall and the water as it flows into a stream. You can put anything in this place that you feel connected to. So you might also bring in some other elements other than the places, like trees or animals from the sea. It doesn't matter, whatever you feel drawn to as you feel connected to the waterfall. Just relax and see if this is your place with beautiful flowers around as you feel one with the waterfall. You might want to go on top of a cliff and look out to the sea, or on top of a hill and sit on top of a hill and feel one with the hill. Feel one with the place. Look at the beautiful views around you as you use all your senses to become part of this place. This may be your place of connection. So feel it if it makes you feel alive, and this is your place to go to. Any place can be created, whether it's sitting in your front room, or a park that you've been to before, or by a pond. Wherever you feel drawn to, create this place. Each time you go to this place, you may feel new items, new objects start to appear. If in your place you don't feel the energy is quite right, then do a quick cleansing in the waterfall or in your transparent box, because it may be that you've brought forward the energies of the day, and so the place isn't flowing as well because you're still attached emotional energies. Always get rid of them before you come to your place. Eventually, going backward and forth to your place, you will find that you can get there quicker. You can see everything around you quicker as the more you do it. So really use all your senses to create the place. Then eventually start to merge with the place. Feel your energies merging with the place as you become one with the place. This will increase the connection to nature. You can either ground yourself in the place by feeling roots going out the bottom of your feet, or ask for heaven's energy. But this place has already got that energy there. That's why we're creating the place. It makes it easier for you to communicate with the spirit world, or communicate with loved ones, or communicate just with your soul. So really create this place and use your senses. And the more you do it, the more you'll feel at peace. Even go here when you feel that you need a bit of time out, or you need to relax. Thank you for sharing. Energy boost, source, merge. By connecting to the source, or the energy that's part of everything, you're actually tapping into information highway, I call it. So this is a good way to prepare the body ready to receive information. First of all, by raising your energy, what you're doing is you're helping the connection, but also your energy boost will make it clearer for pictures, images, feelings, and also when you get into the source, you get rid of the fears and doubts and worries. Right, so just breathe in and breathe out in your own time, letting go of all the fears and doubts and worries. Imagine all the emotions leaving the body into a pot at the side. Feel with every breath as you're getting lighter and lighter and becoming more and more connected to the spirit world, as the barrier is being taken down as you merge one with the energy. Just imagine your body, your soul becoming one, and the connection with heaven's energy through your head into the body, linking to the ground to keep you grounded and connected to the source. Then imagine yourself at a place that you feel drawn to. It might be a waterfall, it might be on top of the cliffs, it might be sunshine, it might be next to a log fire, it might be under the moon, it might be feeling of the wind or the rain. Whichever you feel drawn to could be your energy source. It makes you feel at peace. Mine is the waterfall, so I just imagine myself sitting at the waterfall and feeling the energy of the waterfall flowing through my body. So imagine whatever it is flowing through your body as the energy is being boosted in your body, as you feel more and more alive, as you feel connected and able to share the information from the spirit world. Then imagine yourself flowing down the river. You could be in a boat, you could put your jacket on to ensure that you're safe, and just surrender and allow you've been taken on a journey down the river. This will give you the sense of the source flowing through you. And as you get to the bottom, imagine yourself in the sea. Flow backwards and forwards with the sea. As you go backwards and forwards, you're feeling that you're getting into the rhythm of the sea. Then all of a sudden you become one with the sea. Then you feel your energies spreading out to all the trees, all the people, all the land. You suddenly become part of everything as you merge with everything. This will give you a sense of oneness, a sense of being part of the source. Now ask that anybody wishing to communicate from the spirit world can come to this place or flow the information. And so now you can ask questions or information for your audience today that will be needed. Some insights or anything you can tap into now and ask for the spirit world to come forward. Feel that they're around, feel that you're a part of them, and so you can tap into anybody's family members that wish to communicate today. But realise that you're in charge by sharing this experience, and this will make sure that you're nice and prepared and confident for your platform work.